Assalamu alaikum. Back again, dear sisters. Today is Thanksgiving Day. Thanksgiving is every day for Muslims. We are told to be in a constant state of thankfulness. Prophet Muhammad has taught us that we are either thankful or we are disbelievers. Imma shakiran aw kafura. This means that we don't specify one day. However, I'm American and I'm here in America, and so today is Thanksgiving. Do I miss my blood family up north? Yes. Actually, I would always spend Thanksgiving with them because they know that I'm a serious Muslim. And I would spend Thanksgiving sitting at the children's table to be far away from the alcohol. And I would always give thanks, and they would allow me to do so, in the name of Allah. They would request me to make the blessing over the food. This is the intrinsic belief that all human beings have, that there is an almighty creator above. So on this day, it's now about 11 in the morning, down here in sunny Florida, I will not have a Thanksgiving feast. Actually, I plan to go to the beach. I very much enjoy sitting at the beach reading Quran and really just being so grateful and thankful that I'm away from the cold and snow and ice. Living in Egypt for 20 years made me really understand that I'm not created for the cold. I love the heat. I never complain about being too hot. Therefore, on this Thanksgiving Day, I've decided to give you the mighty, mighty name, ArRahmaan. We know that Allah is Allah. He called himself Allah. And in this one name, all other names are inclusive. All other adjectives, characteristics, attributes are inclusive in the name of Allah. Yet we learn them individually so that we can specifically understand what each name and characteristic does. However, ArRahmaan is very special because Rahman is the name of a chapter in Quran. It's the only name of a chapter of Quran that is one of Allah's names. So it's extremely special in that not only is there a chapter named ArRahmaan, but every surah, every chapter begins with, in the name of ArRahmaan, the most merciful and compassionate. This lesson will concentrate only on one name today. And with this one name, I will give you two different chapters. We will be concentrating today on, of course, Surat ArRahmaan, verses 1 through 4. And also Surat Maryam. Now, in Surat Maryam, Surat Maryam mentions ArRahmaan 16 times, more than any other surah in Quran. ArRahmaan is mentioned in Surat Maryam. Today we will be doing verses 88 through 95 from Surat Maryam. So if you'd like to take a moment, I recommend you do, to read it in English before I begin the explanation of what exactly this is dealing with. And of course, it's dealing with Aqidah, because that's the subject that I've chosen to specify with the American people and anyone else who speaks English who would like to listen to my lessons. I specialize in Aqidah, and from that branch, I specialize in Asma al-Husna, Allah's names, his mighty names, through which you will be saved from the fire and you will gain paradise, inshallah. Let us begin with Surat ArRahmaan. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الرحمن علم القرآن خلق الإنسان علمه البيان. In these very short verses, Allah wants to reveal himself to you. And he chooses by telling you right from the start, he is Rahman, the All-Merciful. And then immediately he says, Alam al-Quran. He taught you Quran, which is truly the greatest gift, the most merciful thing ever in the world that you can get. And I just pray that you will start to study it and realize truly the depth of what these words mean. ArRahmaan, Alam al-Quran. Khalaq al-Insan, he created us. Allamahu al-Bayan. And then he taught us the clarification of what these words mean. These words cannot be interpreted with our mind alone. They cannot be understood like any other language. You read it, perhaps you understand it straight away. You may understand it, but you won't understand it in depth, and you won't appreciate it, and you won't internalize it with true belief unless and until you learn Allah's names. And of course, the best way to learn Allah's names is in the Arabic language. Now, you start off slowly as I did. I started at 50. Now I'm 70. And you think it's a mountain to climb. And of course, Shaitan makes it seem as though it's impossible. But as I mentioned to you before, it's the purpose that you were created. ArRahmaan. ArRahmaan. Alif, Lam, Ra, Ha, Ma, N. ArRahmaan. The most merciful Allah created the Quran for us. Now, when I say created the Quran, it's not exactly a good translation because Allah is Quran. The Quran is Allah's words. Preferably, Allah revealed the Quran to us so that we would be able to know what to do with our lives beyond a doubt. Because my opinion is as good as your opinion. So therefore, we don't go with opinions. We go with Allah's commands, which are all perfect. ArRahmaan means the absolute necessity and completeness of Allah and all of his qualities. We say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim because ar-Rahim is the ongoing doing of the mercy. So Allah is ar-Rahman. He is mercy. He has mercy. But he's constantly putting it forward to us, all of us, believers and non-believers, in his creation. This is the meaning of ar-Rahim. That which he gives us of good, and that which he prevents from evil, are all of the signs of Allah's mercy, because only he can bring good, and only he can stop evil. His mercy precedes his anger. Yes, Allah has anger. But Prophet Muhammad ﷺ told us that Allah's mercy precedes his anger. And so he will continually distribute his mercy over and over and over again before he brings his punishment. Allah's mercy shows in the earth and skies. Planets don't collide. Who keeps them in their place? Rain falls with Allah's mercy, it could be a drought if Allah did not decree the rain. All of the planets and the stars and their constellations moving about while we sit here on Earth, stable. We don't even realize all the motion that's occurring. The mountains stable us. The earth is laid out for us to walk on. All of these things are signs in the earth and skies of Allah's mercy for us. Even in the animal kingdom, large animals like cows, gorillas, elephants, if you see how they care for their offspring, they don't fall on them. They don't step on them. Now, of what benefit would offspring be to these animals? Absolutely none. But Allah causes His mercy to be exhibited in the way these animals treat their offspring. Have you ever seen a mother cat who has 6 or 8 little kittens constantly hanging on her? After they're born, they never leave their mother's breasts, and they constantly demand her attention. I saw it once when my cat had kittens. I was amazed at the patience of this mother. She never swatted them away. She never hid from them. She devoted herself for months to nursing her kittens. This does not come from her awareness that one day the children will grow up and take care of her, as happens with us. Or perhaps the children would make her proud one day. No, she's doing this from the instinctual mercy that Allah has placed in the hearts of all animals. Allah revealed the Rahmah. The Rahmah is quality, the noun, mercy. He revealed it in the Quran. And He revealed it to preserve ourselves in our minds, in our bodies, in our religion, in our morals, in our family, in our wealth. The laws in the Quran are a mercy, because if we follow them, we will be preserved and we will have a good life. I'm not saying we'll all be rich and famous. Who says that's a mercy? Quite often being rich and famous is a pain, and those who are wish to go back to the simpler days. Angel Gabriel, when he revealed the Quran, we call him Jibreel in Arabic. When he revealed it to our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it was revealed with the words, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, in the name of Allah, the merciful and the compassionate. These two attributes of Allah are ArRahmaan, Allah is mercy, and ArRahim, Allah does mercy. Many people will deny this and say, what do you mean mercy? Well, I don't think childhood cancer is mercy. I don't think senseless murders are mercy. I don't think horrific car accidents are mercy. I don't think ungrateful children are mercy. Well, we have to understand in our aqidah that Allah does what He does not love. And He allows things to happen so that we become aware of what we ought to become aware of. And that is that anything can happen at any time. And it is through Allah's wisdom that He allows certain things to happen at appointed times, which He decrees and He chooses to be a lesson for others. If we look at the world as a whole, let's look at even our lives as a whole, we can see that the good far outweighs the bad. How many people do you know who've died of cancer? I'm sure you know more who have not. How many people do you know who have experienced a horrific car accident? The minority, etc., etc. How many people do you know who've been murdered? So even with our mass media, which I know a lot of the reporting is doubtful, However, we do hear of things now that we never had the occasion to hear about in the past through mass media, especially the internet. We're supposed to pause and be grateful. And as I mentioned in the introduction, it is Thanksgiving. Well, Thanksgiving for us is every day. Every day we pause and we are grateful to Allah for what He has done for us and what He has prevented from us. He taught us the meanings of the Arabic words. He taught us how to pronounce them. He taught us how to memorize the Quran, which is a miracle. And in the beginning, before you know Arabic, you see these millions of people who've memorized it over the centuries, and you say, how on earth did they do that? Well, when you begin to memorize the Quran, you will know that it is not impossible, that it's quite doable. You just have to put the time and effort in, and you have to understand the benefits that you will get is over and above any benefit that you will get from anything else that you will ever do in your life. You should not just memorize, but you should reflect on what you've memorized, because this is a reminder to you to allow you to distinguish between good and evil and to judge properly with the words of Allah in the Quran. Because His words are truth and justice. But you will also get threats of punishment. Now, many people like to avoid this part of the Quran, and they like to say, well, that's not an all-merciful God. What's with these threats? Huh. My goodness. You know, one of the most famous works of literature ever was called Crime and Punishment by a Russian author, Fyodor Dostoevsky. And this book is considered a classic in the annals of literature, dealing with the subject of crime and punishment. Let's leave that for now, because this will be for later lessons. Now let's continue on Surat Maryam with the mighty words of Allah in the Quran. Please follow along with me, holding your English Qurans if you don't know Arabic, while we begin with Surat Maryam. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وقالوا اتخذ الرحمن ولدا لقد جئتم شيئا إدا تكاد السماوات يتفطرن منه وتنشق الأرض وتخر الجبال هدا أن دعوا للرحمن ولدا وما ينبغي للرحمن أن يتخذ ولدا إن كل من في السماوات والأرض إلا أتى الرحمن أبدا. In these verses, Allah tells us that some have said He has a son. He then says they have brought an atrocious thing, that He has a son. And it's so horrific that Allah tells us in the Quran that the skies are nearly rent asunder. The earth is nearly split. And the mountains nearly crumble from these words, that He has taken a son. He said it's not right that Allah would have a son. Why would He have a son when everything and everyone will come to Him on Judgment Day? He's all that we need because He created us. He's all that we should want because only He can help us. So the idea that He has taken a son. Here in Surat Maryam, you see, in no uncertain terms, in total clarification, Allah has denied this idea, and Allah has clarified that this idea is quite hateful to him, to the point where he talks about the destruction of the earth and skies. And yet, he preserves all of those who say this. Remember, I told you his mercy extends to believers and non-believers? Those who say over and over and over again throughout the centuries, the only words that Allah will never forgive, and that is associating powers to other than him, praying to other than him, seeking help from other than him, fearing other than him. These ideas and thoughts and words continue, and Allah allows them to continue. And we must allow them to continue. And that is why anyone who sets about with persecution of non-Muslims, do you think you know better than Allah? Allah wants us to only clarify, to teach what is right, to be patient, to be forbearing, to be forgiving, because Allah's justice will come. Mainly, it will come in the hereafter for those who don't accept. Why? Because anyone can accept Islam for as long as they have breath. When I was a Catholic, they used to teach us that we could disbelieve, but if we said a perfect act of contrition on our deathbed, then all will be forgiven. Well, in Islam, it's not exactly that way. It's close, but we know that you can accept until what we call al-gharghara in Arabic. It means the death's rattle. Up until that point, you may change your heart and accept Allah by saying the Shahada, La ilaha illallah. That's Allah's mercy. He continually allows his enemies to eat and drink and enjoy their lives and their families. However, when you know the truth, it is incumbent upon you to accept it. It's when you reject the truth after understanding fully that you are now in a space and a place where you will be beholden for a judgment. Until you know and understand fully, we are considering you among those termed al-jahiliyyah, the ignorant ones. And most scholars say that ignorance is an excuse. Al-hujja bi jahala. In Arabic, it means ignorance is an excuse. Now, if those verses seem to be maybe a little bit unsettling, I'm going to give you another verse from Surat Maryam, which is just a few ayat in front of those, actually coming towards the end, after those, I should say. And it's a beautiful verse that I'll close with, because this one, it's like a promise from Allah and something you can have great expectations with. And then I'll get on with great expectations and how I feel about that phrase. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ سَيَجْعَلُ لَهُمْ الرَّحْمَنُ وُدًّا. Allah says that those who believe and do good deeds, Allah will bring them close in hearts. Wudda. The word wood in Arabic, it's a beautiful meaning. It means tender, loving kindness, care, all of the things that you would want in a friend. Can you imagine? Allah tells us that all you have to do is to believe and do good deeds. And then he will bring the wood. He'll bring it together. You'll love each other. First of all, you'll meet each other. So many American Muslims, myself included, when we became Muslim, we kept looking for people that would be not only accepting of us, that we changed our religion, but that would be helpful to us, that would love us, that would care for us, that would include us, that would want us, that would not reject us, that would not fear us. And really, it's not an easy time in the beginning. I've been a Muslim for 32 years now, and perhaps it's getting easier in that there are more Muslims here in America. But, you know, if you haven't had that occurrence yet of meeting those people, wait. Just keep doing more good deeds. And know that Allah doesn't forget you. He just does things in the proper place and time. Have great expectations of Allah. Now, sometimes non-Muslims believe that great expectations would be money, or let's say security, at least that they would have enough. But for us, great expectations means husn adhan billah, that we have a great expectation that Allah will always bring forward what is best for us. And we might not always agree that what happens is best for us. Perhaps we think that there's been a mistake here somewhere. I've been asking for this for years now, and I haven't received it. Don't think that the previous years in which you were waiting were a mistake. Because we know in a hadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that waiting for the breakthrough is the best form of worship. If you're in dire straits and you think it's never going to get better and you begin to question Allah, I've prayed for so long and it hasn't come. You are in the best state of worship than you would ever be in any other way. So, on this American Thanksgiving Day, give thanks to the Almighty Allah that He has allowed you to live up to this point, to be with your families and enjoy the day, and to always know that He is Allah. Huwa ArRahmaan. And please, try to begin to learn Quran. Keep up with these lessons with your Arabic. It's of Allah's mercy today that you only have one word, ArRahmaan. But it's a great word. Huwa Allah, Huwa Rahman, the all-merciful, the all-compassionate. See you soon. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.